And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power Man podcast. My name's Rory Paquette, and I am, as always, your very humble host. Thank you very much for joining us today. We have an incredible guest today. I cannot wait to introduce him. Before we do that, I just want to say thank you to all you folks who have been supporting us recently. We've had sponsorship come in. We've had comments coming in. We've had some serious interaction on our last few podcasts. If you're part of our private group, The Power of Man Within on Facebook, then you've seen a lot of the interaction that's been happening. And if you're not part of that group, get in the group. It's easy to find. Power of Man Within on Facebook. It's a safe place for men, for fathers, for husbands, for veterans to come in and let stuff out, man. If you're gonna let it out, don't lay it all on your wife and your kids, man. Come in and lay it out on a brother who gives a damn. All right, and that's a little bit about what we're talking about today. Got a very special guest. He's given me permission to call him by his first name, so I don't want you guys thinking that I'm being disrespectful. We have with us today Major Teddy Colgate. Sir, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I appreciate you being here today. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing about this. Now, real quick about the organization you want to talk about today. You're talking about Heroes Outreach. It's First Coast Heroes Outreach. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Give everybody a little idea of what that's about, and then we'll get into who you are and why you're so interested in this.
All right. First Coast Heroes Outreach, we are a nonprofit that originally I founded in 2013, taking care of Marines and families. And then we rebranded to take on all veterans a few years later. And then a couple years ago, we rebranded as First Coast Heroes Outreach to take on veterans and first responders. And our goal was to attack mental health stigma and keep these guys and gals in the fight at no or low cost mental health. And then recently we've taken on what I see as a more important mission, and that's the proactive approach to mental health, the education, the resource allocation, and referral, so we can get ahead of the crisis. So many times there's a lot of organizations out there that are willing to help on the back end, after the crisis happens and after, they react to the horrific things. We're trying to educate and let folks know that there are so many resources out there that can prevent some of these crises from happening. So that's kind of our focus now. And, we've been around for over a decade, and we don't, the one great thing I'll say up front is no one on our staff takes a salary. We're a small staff. 91 cents of everything goes straight to causes and functions, and we try to help people. And it's not about money for us. It's about the people and trying to shorten their trauma, but more so just improve their quality of life.
So it's a total volunteer organization.
Yes. So we have folks that volunteer time, volunteer resources, coordinate things that bring folks that need camaraderie, need brotherhood, need all those things, and a supportive network. And we try to provide those opportunities for folks to get out and understand that you are never alone. There's plenty of help out there, and we just need to put you in the right place.
Gotcha. I definitely want to hear, your story and find out how you got involved in this. But first, if you don't mind, you caught me with something right there in one of your last answers, and you talked about the proactive approach. That sounds, excuse me, fantastic. I'm curious how that's implemented. Is this going on before these guys enlist or sign up? Is it going on during the sign up? Can you tell me a little bit more about how it's proactive?
So I'll give you my personal example.
Great.
In October of 2009 in Afghanistan, my vehicle got crunched up, and instead of having the uh, option, I guess, to say, hey, I'm not in a good spot. I just need, talk to somebody or need to get some some counseling or what have you, I opted to not declare anything. I slept for a couple of days because my head was rattled and got back in the fight. So what we try to do is when somebody has and I'll use a firefighter, for example, if they have a bad call and we know about it and we're kind of in tune with some of the areas that we've been around. If there's a bad call, we try to reach out right off the bat just to say, hey, does anybody need to talk, or does anybody want some resources to have that option to be able to do? Because ultimately, when you choose a life of service, you want to serve, right? Whether that's the military, whether that's a law enforcement, whether that's a firefighter, what have you. The worst thing that can happen is you get sat on the bench and they say, hey, we'll get to you once, once some, guy with a bunch of framed paperwork on the wall tells us you're okay. And that's a mental blow right off the bat. So we try to go out and educate that, there's bad things in the world. There's bad things that's going to happen every single day. When that happens, immediately get out and start taking care of yourself. And to go back even further, when I was 18, 19 years old, I was in the first Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And, it was a 100-hour ground war. Didn't see a whole lot, but I was in the mix and did some cleanup and things like that. I probably should have talked to somebody at 18 or 19 years old, just seeing the effects of war that, just weighs on you. So there is such a thing as the prolonged exposure type things that, your mind can only process so many things. So getting out and talking to people and seeing things early and often, I guess, is one of the benefits of our program.
I see. Now, you mentioned to me in the pre-interview that you had a few injuries. Were the injuries the thing that kind of got you involved in this, or was there a different path that? And you can go anywhere you want with this answer. The time is yours. The floor is yours, sir. So, but I'm just curious as to how someone transitions into this line of service and serving the men that serve us.
Yeah. So early on, I think when you exit the military, regardless of how long, 3, 4 years or 20 or 30 years, the day you leave, you are a lost individual. Doesn't matter, and I will argue that point until I have no breath in my lungs. Personally, I went from being in charge of 1,500 Marines to not having a reason to wake up. And that's a problem. So part of our original reason for starting this organization was to have that sense of brotherhood right off the bat, that, what, we have a place where guys can come and right at the point we were just Marines. You can come, hang out, have a beer, tell a story, laugh, cry. It doesn't matter, but you're in a safe space and you can be together, share that common bond that the Marine Corps brought us, or the military brings you, and everything else is going to be okay for that short amount of time. And then what we saw was you started to grow relationships that transcended, not just say riding motorcycles together or hanging out and playing cards together or darts. Then you could, you started doing family stuff and you started doing all these other things. So the power was starting to become, compounded, because you now at least knew, hey, I'm going to do something on this day every week, and you have a purpose to be able to do something. So that was kind of the original. And then you just kind of took on different levels, and we grew organically to our own capability, but really we never wanted to outgrow what we cared about. And I think that's why we are still as small as we are, because I'd rather lose $5 and help one person than make 5,000 in donations and not help a soul. I mean, that does nothing for me. So,
Amen.
uh,
Yeah. Wow. Okay. How long has this organization been around then?
so we originated in 2013. So I retired
Okay.
in 2012, and then we've gone through some growth and different different looks basically, and then we've been First Coast Heroes Outreach since 2021, I believe. So just we rebranded a few years ago to take on law enforcement and firefighters, so first responders.
Sure. Okay. So it's your personal experience of leaving the military and coming home and not having purpose that kind of, alerted you to, hey, this is a problem.
Yeah, and then when we started focusing on the mental health aspect, um, so 2009, I came back in 2010. I knew something was not right, and you know the impact of prolonged exposure, burden of command, moral injury, PTSD, all these things. When you exit the active ranks and you fall into the VA, well then the VA blankets everything as PTSD,
Hmm.
and therein lies a problem. So many guys don't understand, and my journey has been almost 15 years now, struggling and living with this day in and day out. So part of my focus now is to be a conduit for folks that they don't have to go a decade of grind and struggle to be able to figure out some of these answers. And if I can help cut that time in half or cut that by a third, now we're starting to see some real progress in the quality of life of the folks that are dealing with certain things like that. So
What are some of the resources that you employ or bring in or make people aware of while you're working with them in this program?
so we do a lot of local community groups, and right now we're in Texas. We started in Florida. Uh, we started and then we moved to Texas. So we use the local community as much as possible because you have to be able to touch someone, and the videos and the phone calls, those are all great. However, you need to be around people. The human nature is, COVID was terrible for the human, and
Right.
you know people need human interaction. So we try to do that because you can feel and you can see and you can touch um, those individuals as what and understand what they're going through, because it's very relatable at that point. So we we try to get out in the communities and do different resource kind of expo type things, to be I guess a conduit for all the local organizations. So at this point, with the proactive approach that we're taking, our goal is to be that A to B person that says, okay, Rory, this is what you need, this is the person that you need to see. So we build the puzzle almost, where person A, and we have this organization over here, and we can put them together. So that's what we try to focus on now, because uh, I, it's partly because of the staff, but then it just there's so many big nonprofits out there that it's all, hey, look at us, and sometimes the little guy that doesn't really want help or doesn't think he needs help, those are the folks that we can reach by just being present, being out, and just talking to people. We go to veteran events, we go to first responder events, anything that can get us to actually see somebody walking around and you see that person and you see what they look, and that look in their eyes, or that look, that how they carry themselves, and you just strike up a conversation, and then next thing you know, they realize they're in a safe space and they're looking for help, and we can try and put them in the right spot.
See, so this is local to Texas, so that you
Well,
can make contact with guys.
it is for now,
Right.
but we actually have uh, providers and kind of folks in Florida still, Indiana. We do.
Hmm.
We had we have we had someone in Indiana right off the bat, and she kind of branched out on her own, and she's doing great things. So, for us, it doesn't matter where you can be in Alaska, and if you reach out to us on our website and ask for some information, or give us your your needs, we're going to do everything in our power to make that so. And just because we're home based in Texas now, our reach, we want to be able to help anyone, anywhere. And our folks that do the research, they're pretty aggressive, and they don't. I don't know. I know I don't want them as an organization calling me saying, "Hey, this is what this guy needs, and this is what you're going to do," because they're pretty in tune with what companies and what organizations can do and provide, and they don't take no very easily. So it's a joy to watch them do their thing, because when when somebody truly needs help, there is you don't accept no for anything. And if that means that we have to get further involved, then we'll do that. So
That's great. I mean, I love to hear that you're sort of expanding, and reaching out to other states and things like that, because there's just not enough of this type of help, period,
yeah,
anywhere.
yeah.
I mean, I think that's great. I know you've been making the rounds on podcasts and stuff, because I heard you yesterday on somebody else's. So, what are you trying to bring awareness right now? Are you trying to maybe expand? What's your goal right now with the organization?
Yeah, so I think it's always going to be awareness, and we'll go back to my personal story. So my folks were divorced when I was 7 or 8, and I was super angry. My dad remarried, um, within a short amount of time, and I was angry at that. And that's all reflection, right? So as a youngster, you just miss your dad, and you don't really think about those things. So then you fast forward, and struggling day in and day out after I retired with PTSD. I was irritable all the time. I had no idea. My wife at the time, I had three boys, and I knew that I was not in a good place, and I was not good for anyone. And April 16th, 2016, I put a 45 in my mouth, and I just was not happy with what I had done. I was just not happy with who I was at that point. I didn't think I was being a good role model for my sons. So you just, you don't have the answers at that point. And my youngest son, Josh, came around the corner and asked me for juice. Um, and like, you know, changed my world, and kind of gave it a drive, gave it a purpose. Like, you know what? I'm not done. Um, I have a lot left of work to do for myself, for the boys. And then I took on this other role of, like, what I have to make sure that nobody else gets put in that position. Right. So, and it was because I couldn't find answers, at that point in my life. And this was since 2016, and I've been retired for 4 years. Uh, I was seeing a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a social worker. I was in group therapy, all four of those every single week. And I was a fucking wreck.
I imagine.
And
Jesus.
so it was one of those where I couldn't figure anything out. I couldn't get answers. I didn't know, I didn't know what I was doing in life. So I made the probably the toughest choice, and I knew that the only option for me was to leave. So um, I divorced the boy's mom, and I left. And now you fast forward and you get into the reflection as you start to learn things, right? And you look at moral injury, and it's like I remember how I felt when my dad left, right? And now I take all that burden on of what I just did to my sons. So you put that on top of, you know, the PTSD and the TBIs and the burden of command, the moral injury, all these things that are co-occurring issues that, if it was one, hey, you still have a pretty high quality of life. But then when you have all these things stacked, you grind every day to walk out that door, or to get out of bed, or to be functional at all. And so as I process all these things and I learn about this journey, um, I realized that my life is I'm in rehab for the rest of my life. Right. I'm in a mental health rehab because it's not a medical model. They don't give you one pill and hey, you're all better. Right. So
Right.
when you process these things, you understand that, what, every single day I'm going to have to be cognizant of what I do, what I say, what I don't do, what I don't say. Then you understand that it may not be a AA meeting and you're not getting a coin, but you're in rehab for the rest of your life. And that has only come to my understanding in the last year. And that's almost 15 years after, you know, the what I would consider the moment that changed my life forever was the incident in October of '09. So, it's just one of those things that you don't understand. And part of my journey now is to help people understand that, you know, this thing is a heck of a lot deeper than just, oh, you saw some bad stuff or something bad happened to you. It's when you start stacking, like the divorce that caused me to leave the boys, that is so closely related to my folks and my childhood. I would have never thought about that. Right. I would
Right.
just, and looking back, and I said this, I think, I don't know, a week ago, maybe even yesterday, that looking back, as a kid, I was so angry. Right. But you don't portray that as a kid. That's all inside. It's all stuff that just burns and eats you. And it changes the dynamics of how you think as you grow. So now looking back, I get to process those things, and my own actions that I have started to tell my sons portions of the story that has caused me to be where I am. And you know I hope to very soon be able to share that uh Josh did save my life. you know so
He doesn't know that now, though.
no, he doesn't. um my oldest, Jack, he's 15. He's starting to understand some of the journey. I had just in June, I went inpatient up in Colorado for at the Marcus Institute for Brain Health, trying to understand some TBI issues, which is so eye opening, and it answered so many questions that had the VA. And I'm sorry I keep going back to the VA, but they're an organization that's super huge that's supposed to take care of guys like me.
Right.
And so Marcus Institute for Brain Health we go up there, and uh, it's all these legitimately eye-opening uh, things that they were not like earth-shattering. It was knowledge and um, education on why certain things happen. So, for one instance, I never thought that. Um, I'm a super coordinated guy. I played sports my whole life. Still play sports. When my body says I can. And but like turning the corner, walking into a room, bang into the door, hit the doorway, whatever, or in the garage working, and I stand up because I lose depth perception and hit my head. Walking down the street, and I think the boys are zigzagging in front of me. Well, until I got to Marcus, the Marcus Institute, I'm blaming everybody else or whatever. But my vestibular was so screwed up that my brain has to work to keep me upright, or to keep me walking straight. So I was the one that was zigging and zagging, getting pissed off at the boys because they're bumping into me. Just walk straight, just walk straight. And so when you think about that and how your vestibular system and your eyes and your balance and all these things focus or take away from your brain health, then you can rebuild that stuff. It's when I was there, from the day I got there to the day I left, it was night and day. I mean, I couldn't, and I never knew this, but just standing, feet together, arms out, close your eyes, like a DUI checkpoint, I would fall over just like that. And I had no idea. And the neurologist asked me, she says, so does this happen all the time? And I told her, jokingly, like, well, I don't know, because I don't stand with my feet closed and my eyes, or my feet together, my eyes closed, so it's things like that guys need to know. They need to know that, just because you take a lump on the head, um, playing football as a kid, all those things are compounded. If you get concussion in training or in football in high school, and then in the military, and then, martial arts or whatever, all that stuff is compounded, and it takes a lasting effect, especially if it's not addressed. So that's another portion, because I didn't know that. I was walking around grinding, being pissed off for 10 years, and now I understand, like, if I get in a certain way, and speech is another one. When I get super tired or I'm super stressed out, I have this stammer that just comes up, and that's all because of my brain health, and my cognitive reserve goes away. you know so there's a pie diagram for your brain, and it's like it's quartered. For a healthy brain, it's in quarters. So it's physical, emotional, cognitive, and then reserve, right? So every time you take a lump on the brain, or a whack on the head of some sort, your reserve goes down, because it takes you more effort and more brain power to do those other things. So what happens when, a lot of guys will say with PTSD and TBI that they don't have, they just, go zero to 100, just like that, right? Well, the other thing that I learned was, guys like me, we don't walk around at zero. We walk around at 90, or we walk around, 95. So our irritability, our zero to prison is very small. So one of the things, when you understand that aspect, your quality of life drastically improves if you can just get down to 80, 75, right? You're not going to get to zero. Nobody's at zero at this point, right? Especially with society as we have it today. But the fact is, if you can lessen that, to 10%, that's where the ripple effect comes in. And that's where the quality of life changes for you and everyone that you share space with. You know, me improving my quality of life when I came out of Marcus Institute, I was probably a 10 or 15% improvement. Well, those that are around me, they saw that, and they saw that I was, you know, easier to be around, or just better to be around. That it increases their quality of life as well. So that ripple effect is real, but it can also be in a negative light too, because if you're pissed off all the time and you're irritable and you're just, you know, walking on eggshells, everyone else around you walks on eggshells. So that negative ripple effect works as well. So part of my journey is I've worked my ass off to try and improve my quality of life for those around me. And that's one of the other messages that I will always say is it starts with you, because nobody is going to care about you more than you. And we can all say all those other things, you know, and you can use the cliches all you want. But at the end of the day, nobody cares about you more than you. And you cannot ever lie to the man in the mirror. And that's the big one. You know, so if you brush your teeth or shave your face or wash your face, whatever, and you look in that mirror and you tell him everything's fine, you know, that is a lie, you know, because at this point, there's work to be done every single day for guys and gals that have transitioned out of the military, regardless of how long. And they owe it to themselves, and they owe it to their family and the ones they hold close to do and be the best they possibly can. I think that was.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a tough road to hoe, man, because especially guys our age. I mean, we weren't built that way.
No,
We weren't raised that way.
that's right. Yeah, it's suck it up. Grown men don't cry. You know, rub some dirt on it. So yeah, it's and in the military, you're taught the same thing. Do everything you have with everything you at it. Give everything you have at everything you do, and the mental toughness and it's one of those things that we need at the end of our service. We need everything that they've told us doesn't exist. Right. So it's and that's a challenge, and it takes a lot of strength to ask for help. And I will always say that asking for help is a strength, not a weakness. Making a call to do a buddy check, making that call because you need it, or they need it, or you both need it. So I always say, make the call, answer the call, and be the difference. It's just that important. And I challenge a lot of people that I interact with to either even text someone that you haven't talked to in a while. Just go through your list and just text somebody different every single day. Doesn't right. It takes what, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, and it's sometimes that's all it takes to change somebody's life. Like, oh shit, someone was thinking about me. Somebody cares about me. I mean, you get to a point where the negative self-talk is so drastic because you don't think that you're valued. You don't think you have a purpose. You don't think that you are contributing to anything, and your burden, all these things. The 22 a day, 22 veterans a day. I mean, that's a number that is, and it's sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, but that number is too high regardless of what it is. And a lot of that comes from a lack of purpose, a lack of thinking that they have help, they have resources, they have guys and gals that are willing to fight right alongside them. the same things that we have in the military, or in law enforcement, or as a firefighter. You have all of that. So part of Heroes Outreach is we try to make sure people know where that is, where they can go to find their tribe, where they can go to find the support cell that is conducive to whatever they want. It's nothing. None of this is cookie cutter. None of this is, oh, okay, you fit into this category. You know, everyone is super unique, and every experience is super unique. So why would we not, you know, be there for each other? And that's the biggest thing is, uh, life is hard. Life is hard, and it's even harder when you feel isolated, which so many veterans do, and you feel like, you know what, this I am all I have, you know. So
I talk about that all the time, that, men need a purpose, period. We have to have one. And if we don't have one, we literally don't know what to do. There's nothing driving us. We've
right.
got to have a purpose. A lot of guys are able to make their family their purpose, and that works for a while. But even then, you have to have a purpose that's for you, that's outside of the normal obligations, and it's amazing how the behavior in the brain works with, I mean, you've said things that I've heard many, many, many times in a lot of ways, but by the same token, the way you're saying it and the insight you're putting out there, um, I hope that there's a lot of guys right now. I'm thinking of guys that I hope are listening to this right now. You're telling a hell of a story. The Have you had a chance now? At this point, you haven't reconciled with your sons. You said you're starting
Yes.
to with your older.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have a really, I mean, they're in Virginia. I'm in Texas. So, we have a really good relationship, other than distance,
Mm-hmm.
So I, the older two are starting, in their football and their sports through the summer and things like that. So that lessens the options to have them here.
Sure.
But the youngest was here with me, for the majority of the summer, and then I'll actually go out there, the 19th of this month.
That's great.
And I spend some time. So we're making it work. It's not ideal, um, but divorce never is, I guess. And that's,
No.
so it's one of those things that, uh, there's a difference in having the capability to do something, and then what are you legitimately willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that transcends so many things. um, when you're in the military, you might be capable of doing something, uh, especially when you're downrange in harm's way, but are you willing to do that? And that's an internal motivation. That's a drive that, not everybody has. And then when you come out and you're struggling with something, you know everywhere you look, there's a pamphlet or a commercial or something that shows, hey, this these places are available to help you or to give you assistance, what have you. But then it comes down to the internal motivation of what are you willing to do. And unfortunately, we have a lot of folks that just aren't ready for help. And that's the hammer and chisel that I try to take with a lot of things, is just chip away, just make the texture a little bit softer, because eventually they're going to understand that, what, now I'm ready. And as men that want to serve, we lose sight of that sometimes, that folks are just not ready. Like, what's wrong with this guy? What's wrong? He's just not ready. you know and if you can remain consistent with your delivery and your approach and your life, uh, everyone else will see that. And that's the other thing to take away is consistency, uh, is growth and progress. It's progress, not perfection. And that's part of the rehabilitation model is I just need to be as productive as I possibly can today. It's do I have all these grandiose plans for today? Not at this point, but I have a list, and I have a list of things that I want to get done, whether that's today or ever. So you just take your hammer and your chisel, and you just chip away the best you can. Um, when you walk into a room and you see 100 guys, there's 100 different issues going on, and it doesn't matter if it's the millionaire that lives in the big house on the lake, or the guy that shares an apartment with four other buddies. Everyone, as they lay their head down on that pillow at night, they have something weighing on them. It doesn't matter, you know, and it's never a competition. It's always an appreciation that everyone has something going on. So if you can be nice, and you can be respectful, and you can, be encouraging, think about what that brings to someone else. It is an infectious, portion that you can ripple, use the ripple effect, to just be encouraging to one person, and then who knows what they're going to do when they have another encounter down the road. So, it's just, I try to be super positive, even through everything. And I do believe that I'm still here for a reason. And that's one of my driving forces that, I've been struggling. I've been grinding. I've been fighting for 15 years, dealing with, the depression, mental health, TBI, PTSD, all these things. So I've had to figure out a lot of things on my own. And now I'm starting to feel like I understand. I will never say that I got it, because those are dangerous words as well.
Sure.
I got this. No, that's just dangerous. But I'm now understanding so much more that my goal is to hope, and hope is to be able to shorten the journey, shorten the battle, where guys actually get above and over the hump, where, what, now I understand that I can live more, and I can improve those around me, but I understand what I need, instead of just trying to figure it out. Like, I'm pissed off. What is wrong with me? You know, I mean, there's something wrong with all of us, but
Right.
understanding that, uh, you know, we're all broken to some degree, but it's even the broken watch, right? So you have to figure that part out. So
Yeah, I
it's
say that all the time. Even a broken watch is right twice a day. So
that's right. That's right.
amen to
That's right.
that.
So but the one thing, uh, that I learned, again, this is probably in the last year, and a lot of doctors don't recognize this, and they won't say this out loud, but it's I want to use the right phrase, the five, oh, the fatal five. The fatal five, um, are PTSD, TBI, chronic pain, insomnia, and mood. So depression, anxiety, those things, right? So that's the fatal five. And that's what leads to the 22 a day.
Hmm.
So when you have the fatal five that I do, um, that is a legit concern every single day. And being aware of that, being cognizant of it, understanding that, what, yeah, I see the fatal five. I feel the fatal five. I live with the fatal five every single day, but I'm still going to live to the best of my ability. And I'm going to be aware that they are there. And I'm going to work to take my hammer, take my chisel, to chip away at all or one every single day. So whether that's, breath work, groundwork, spiritual, um, sleep hygiene, a solid bedtime routine that gives you the best opportunity to get some sleep, all those things, you just chip away. and eventually they are not so elevated that they're referenced as the fatal five. You have spikes here and there, but you want to be aware of those things and not just accept it.
Yeah.
When you acceptance is a really is a weird thing, because when you accept your situation, when you accept it as a this is just what it is, then your mindset doesn't allow you to be in a growth mindset or a change mindset, because it's just what it is. And that's how I was for a decade. So the past couple years, I've altered that mindset that, you know what, I don't accept this anymore. I don't accept being angry all the time or being on edge all the time, being on high alert, you know, hearing a noise outside at 11 o'clock and grabbing a firearm and clearing my whole house, spotlighting the backyard, spotlighting the front yard, checking every window, checking every door. Um, it's just a noise, you know. There's not something bad at every turn. There's not something bad at every creek, or creek in the night. So I had to make a bona fide choice not to accept that from myself. And when you do that, things start changing. But it has to come from within and has to come from that mindset. So, you know, acceptance is a big one. If you accept that,
Yeah.
hey, you're just an asshole or you're fucked up. Um, well, thing is that's you giving up on yourself. And when you give up on yourself, you take away so much from everybody else. So uh, make that choice not to accept a life that is not conducive to everybody around you, and that starts the best version of you. So
I don't I don't know what your faith is or anything. And I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but it's pretty clear from where I'm sitting that at least in my world, that God sent your son in that day to stop you because you had a bigger purpose to fulfill, my friend. And maybe you're doing that now.
yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I am that guy. I live my life now. I used to live with everything had to be certain, everything had to be planned out, and I was in control of everything. And now I live a life, faith over fear. That you know when I'm pulled and I'm moved to do it, then it gets done. And you know a lot of these things, getting my story and my message out is taxing on me. And but I will continue to do that if I can reach some people. And you know that's the thing that I'm driven, I think, by now is, other than my sons, um, just to try and get the story out, to be able to open up the hearts and minds and eyes of folks that you know don't have to accept where they are, and they don't have to accept um, who they are based on what they've done or what has happened to them. So that's kind of the all encompassing goal. And yeah, so
I, brother, I feel it loud and clear. I mean, anybody who's listening to this and isn't convinced you're on the path you're supposed to be on is not paying attention.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
it's funny. A lot of the guys that I talk to that I know need a purpose. One of the things that I say to them is, become the thing that you wish you had. You've done exactly that. You're doing it every day.
yeah. That's a beautiful thing to hear, and it's definitely you know appreciated, because that's all we can want, in our life, and for those around us. And yeah, I hope that all resonates as well, because I don't think I would do this if I wasn't so aware of things that have happened in the last couple of years. So it's a good place to be right now, and
Yeah.
the future continues to, I think, be brighter and look brighter. And you know, I will continue. That's just kind of who I am, and you know, there's a lot of things that have tried to knock me down and knock me out, and I'm here, for that reason, as you said, and I would do uh, a disservice if I didn't follow his path. So
Well,
that's the thing. So
I hear you. I hope that that someday you're able to tell your youngest son, what he did for you. And honestly, I can't wait to talk to you after that happens. That's going to be
yeah,
just a huge load off of you at that point, and it's coming.
yeah, and it is, it really is, and
Yeah.
I look forward to it, and I mean we spend a lot of time together, like especially this summer it was just him and I for the longest time, and yeah, I mean there was a couple moments this summer that I thought, okay, maybe this was the time, and we were just in a golf cart riding around the golf course, and it wasn't the time, and but it'll
Yeah.
come. I believe that, and I think it'll come sooner than later, and you know hopefully he understands the impact and the purpose that he's had in this world already,
Right.
and continue to grow from that. So yeah.
All right. I mean, I could talk to you forever about this stuff. But anybody who is hearing this and going, maybe I need to reach out, best ways to reach you, brother.
So heroesoutreach.org is our website. There's a couple buttons on there that you can get contact with us. My email is there as well, tcolgate at heroesoutreach.org. And our social media channels are heroes underscore outreach on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, I mean, there's I think there's a couple buttons on there. I'm not going to say there's a donate button on there, but there is a donate button, of course, and there's there is the contact button. So whatever we can do to help, we stand by to do that, and we will do everything in our power to make sure that folks live life with a purpose and increase their quality of life.
Love it. Love it. Great message. A great story. And I cannot appreciate or thank, I mean, I appreciate it, but I can't thank you enough for just being as transparent as you were and as open and honest. I mean, everybody who's hearing this knows this. They know that you're the real deal. And I think it's going to resonate with a lot of folks. So I appreciate you coming on to spread the word.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. It's been my honor, and I appreciate what you continue to do on your podcast and getting the word out that so many people need.
Appreciate that. Thanks very much. All right, you guys, you've heard Major Teddy Colgate talking about First Coast Heroes Outreach. Great cause. He's doing some fantastic work. If you get a chance, look it up. And they can use your help. And if you're somebody who needs help, they're there for you. So don't miss this. If you're sitting at home and you just not sure where to go, you don't have that purpose. You're wondering which way is up. What do I do now? That's a great place to go. It's a great number to call. It's a great website to visit. So grab your phone, look them up, and don't wait anymore. Don't wait for that moment that I've had and that the majors had here. Where you got to thank your kid for keeping you here. Don't do that to yourself, and get help proactively. So we're gonna end it here. You guys, you deserve all the best. I bring people like this on because the message matters, and the message matters because you matter. And guys, you just you got to believe it. Until next time.